So, it's 9:30 and I'm sitting in my bed, hoping, or rather, expecting sleep to overcome me as I wait for the next Genshin update to pull through. So let's talk about a different game instead. Sonic X Shadow Generations. A game that truly took the world by storm once Sonic and Shadow fans alike got word of it. To be honest, I had no idea what to expect other than Maria! Because I knew the fandom was always obsessed with that particular aspect of Shadow's lore, but to be honest, I'm still a fairly new fan to the Sonic franchise, so I wasn't even really sure what that meant either. So, I will say, I really appreciate the game's brief refresher on Shadow's history and who characters like Maria were in his life. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So, I walk into this game expecting one whole new game. Turns out that wasn't the case, but let me just say I adored Sonic Generations. I vaguely remembered seeing my cousin play the game as a kid when I would visit his house, and I especially remember the big chase with the ginormous truck tailing you at the end of that one level, which, having played that myself now, can I just say, peak cinema. One of the coolest moments of my life while playing a video game, and I was a big Danganronpa fan at that point in time. So, my standards are clearly high. As, again, a newer fan to the Sonic franchise who was more familiar with the characters in the actual game, my last and most familiar exposure to the games was Sonic Forces, and let me tell you, even I could tell that something was missing with that game. Such small details as Tails cowering in fear in need of help from Big Papa Sonic really caught me off guard when I had always thought Tails wanted to be braver and wasn't even necessarily an incapable fighter. Really registered to me that something about the game was messed up. Hell, I didn't even realize Classic Sonic was supposed to be considered the younger version of our blue protagonist till recently, because they addressed him as a Sonic from another dimension in Forces. That aside, I don't want to dwindle too much on Sonic Generations in this video, despite how good it is. The levels were fun, I liked the storyline, and rescuing or fighting each familiar face was rather rewarding in my opinion. That being said, my belief is that if Sonic Generations was a 10 out of 10, Shadow Generations was easily an 11. Right from the get-go, the game does a fantastic job of setting the tone for you. Very, you're not in Kansas anymore. Stylistically, despite sharing a name, this is going to be nothing like Sonic Generations. Gameplay was immediately fun and had me hooked, as did the music. Even if I was always a big Shadow fan growing up, this game really made sure to find a way to excite me in its gameplay right from the start. I also appreciate the creative liberties and differences with Shadow's own time loop world, you know? It's still the same white void, but it's not as linear and simplistic as Sonic's world. Sure, from a gameplay standpoint, it's more expansive and it allows the players to explore in a new way, but in terms of story, I do just feel that Shadow is a much more complex character than Sonic is. That's no hindrance to Sonic, I love him all the same, but let's be real, Shadow's got that spicy trauma. I also kind of like the disillusionment that we got from Shadow upon seeing Maria and the Professor. I feel like so often in these storylines we get a situation where our protagonist sees these old figures they lost and immediately returns to denial about having already lost them. Shadow, on the other hand, seems fully aware and even unwilling to deny that Maria and the Professor are already gone, but seems to welcome their presence all the same. Mind you, this is a great example to show that Shadow is not this distant emo stereotype he's often accidentally made out to be in games or various media. When characters like that aren't in denial about other characters they care about already passing, typically the other route is for them to be defensive and refusing to get emotional altogether. Shadow doesn't really do that, at least not in my opinion. Ultimately, he just keeps a level head and tries to be aware of the situation while also not avoiding it. Rouge even points this out, and God, I just love Rouge so much in this game. I've always had a relatively neutral opinion on her, but she's another character I'm still just kind of getting to know. I love seeing how much she seemed to have Shadow's back in this game, though. She respected that he might be having conflicted feelings about the situation, but also didn't pry or force anything onto him. She let him sort it out on his own while also being supportive and understanding. God, I really love her. Anyway, I really love the gameplay as well. As I've said, everything is much more expansive and exciting, and I love seeing little details like Orbot and Cubot also being stuck in the void with you. That was adorable. Also, side note, the game calls this area white space. but my trauma from Amori hasn't healed and never will be, so I refused to call it that while I was playing. I also appreciated the momentum this game managed to maintain. Again, Sonic Gen was good, but whenever I needed to charge my devices and take a break, I felt more content, though excited to return back to it when I could. Shadow Gen made me feel impatient. I needed so badly for everything to charge ASAP so I could get back to it. I mean, it was good. The excitement didn't just start when you initiated the first level and needed to be impressed by the introduction segment to keep you hooked. Each level was super creative and fun, and the special powers were that much more exciting too. Also, my favorite was the squid, because I felt like it was the easiest to actively control, but I mean, I kind of liked all the powers, to be honest. It was really just super fun. And also, my last little shout out to Shadow's story in the game here has to be the singular moment when Shadow smiles when he's talking to Maria. It all started with that smile, that goddamn smile. My reaction to that was akin to my appreciation for Rouge's smile in reaction to Shadow's little tear. Like, the smiling in this game from characters I feel like don't usually smile. That sort of thing gets me. Characters who tend to be very one-note, like they're complex, but they tend to only ever show one emotion, but then they show another emotion. Ooh, that is my bread and butter. I love that stuff so much. I love it so much. Like, ugh! Break my heart while making me fall in love with the character all over again, why don't you? Anyway, to bring things back around a bit, Sonic Generations was just a fantastic revisit game for people who felt like recent Sonic games were missing that spark. And Shadow was a love story to both Sonic Gen and Shadow himself as a character, showing that games like Sonic Gen are not a thing of the past, and the team behind these games has learned how to improve for the sake of something they care about. A fun little tidbit, I went to a convention earlier this year, and I saw a panel with Jason Griffith and Kirk Thornton.
Where's that damn fourth Chaos
The latter of whom I met, by the way, and he's a really nice guy. There was no one in his line when I went to meet him, so we actually got to talk for a good minute. And I remember so vividly, one of the questions he got from one of the people there was relative to one of his favorite Shadow voice acting moments in all of the games he's been in, and he said he couldn't say anything because he was under NDA.
I can't talk about it because I'm under NDA.
I have no idea which part in the game he was talking about, but God, I just wanted to give him a shout out. The love that you feel for this character from the development team also stems from the actor as well. To me, nothing in Shadow Gen felt like pandering. It all felt like something that took careful time and development from a team of creatives who genuinely cared enough about this character to make sure they got everything right. Of course, they cared about their audience who would be playing the game, but how could they ensure the audience felt they were faithful to Shadow and his character while playing the game if the development team weren't faithful in their ability to tell his story in the first place? I just had a lot of thoughts on this game. Really fantastic. All in all, it's as I said. If Sonic Generations is a 10 out of 10, then Shadow is a freaking 11. I had a fantastic time playing this game, and Shadow fan or not, if you like Sonic or really just care about anything at all related to the franchise, I genuinely think Shadow Generations is a game for you. So good. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. After putting out my little brief review of Sonic X Shadow Generations, which, let's be honest, was more of like a reaction video to finishing the game, I did just kind of feel the need to go back and make a more elaborate video. I just kind of wanted to go into detail more while also being able to structure my thoughts a little bit better. I'm glad I used the script this time. I do think I want to start trying to upload more, but I'm also not entirely sure what to upload yet. Obviously, I want to do things I care about and things that I find interesting, but at the moment, I'm just kind of gathering ideas. So if you guys have any ideas what you want to see from me in the future, that would be super appreciated. Again, I hope you like this video, and play the game.